Uh, Thank you. Today we are going to discuss on carbs. We understand that carbs are essential. However, which is the right carb and how much? And what is the essence of GI and GL in the carbs that we consume? What is the role of fiber for our gut? We are going to discuss this and much, much more with two of our very esteemed speakers tonight. It is my honor and privilege to invite Farooq Tarapur to start the session. He's an Olympian in sailing, two-time world champion, and has had an active sporting career of 40 years. He's won innumerable awards, including the Chhatrapati Shivaji Award and the Arjuna Award. He's a flag bearer on this journey with the mission Har Ghar Healthy, Har Ghar Medicine Free. Let's welcome him on this virtual stage.
Thank you, Ruchita, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this exciting Monday session. I hope you all had your early dinner, probably done some exercise, because it's only when you get the combination of the right nutrition and the right amount of exercise, you will find your way to good holistic health. Just doing one without the other is going to give you limited effect. And actually doing one without the other neutralizes anything that that you're doing good in either the exercise part or the nutrition part. So I really recommend that you take both these aspects quite seriously and ensure that you sort of feel your body, push your body to start doing some things which may initially feel uncomfortable, but later on, if you do it on a regular basis, you will soon find that it takes a very short period of time to get into an habit of doing it. Once you form that good habit, it will be uncomfortable to go back to the old habits. It takes a certain amount of time. It's a certain amount of time, and it's different for different individuals. You need to figure out what's a good time for you. Whether you need 20 days to form a right habit or you need 100 days to form a right habit. Because once the right habit is formed and it becomes a part of your daily routine, and you start thinking correctly, and there's a change in your mindset that, okay, my body needs some exercise now, my body needs the right amount of macronutrients. Carbs are such an essential and important aspect of one of our macronutrients that it's taken very lightly. People just have no concept the difference between simple carbs and complex carbs. Now people have no concept between the glycemic index and the glycemic load of it, every food that they're eating. So you need to start getting aware of this, because when you do get aware of this and you are doing the right amount of you're giving the body the right amount of nutrition, the exercise, you will find that all these lifestyle health challenges that you'll be facing will somehow automatically, start to disappear. There is nothing that you will not be able to change by correcting these two aspects. So pay close attention to it. Try and understand the differences between, what are the simple carbs, what are the complex carbs, what is the glycemic index of a particular food, when should, extra carbs be eaten. So once you're clear about all that, you'll find that your health will automatically start to improve. Today, you're going to be listening from somebody who had absolutely no concept of, about this whole subject, till she became very, very serious. She made a strong decision that she really wants to, change her health 180 degrees. And that's where she started, studying, researching the subject, joining the community, following the steps that the community, talked about. Most important, she started reporting and monitoring on a daily and a regular basis. And that's what helped her make a huge transformation. I mean, her before and after pictures are so amazing that most people can't even believe that you can have such a huge change in your body in an extremely healthy way, and and in a way that can be sustainable, because she is now a new person with a different mindset. So listen to Deepika very, very carefully. Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you so much, Farooq. Thanks a lot, Ruchita, for the introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's dive right into what Farooq just, set the pace for the evening. So today we're going to be learning a lot about carbs. We're going to be learning about GI, GL. Kya hai ye GI? Kya hai ye GL? Let's understand that in detail. So carbohydrates and dietary fiber. How many of us have tons and tons and tons of information on the internet that, carbs are good or carbs are bad, or avoid carbs to lose weight? Carbs may not be your best friend. Some say, what are complex carbs? What are simple carbs? Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates एक macronutrient है, क्योंकि वो macronutrient है, और that means you need in a relatively more abundance than your micronutrients. It is a very, very, very essential part of your diet. The sooner we understand the little nitty-gritties of carbohydrates, they can actually help you lose weight. They can actually help you get great health, good health. They can actually help you be that fit, that fitness freak, or be in that fitness zone that that you've always wanted to be in. So कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स को समझने के लिए सबसे पहले व्हाट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इज कि जो मेन थ्री मैक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स हैं, व्हिच आर योर कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, योर प्रोटीन्स, योर फैट्स एंड योर फाइबर्स. Why do we say that we need to have a higher intake of protein in each of our meals and lesser intake of carbohydrates? One of the key reasons is that the insulin spike, जो blood glucose की spike आती है आपके blood में, the moment you eat a carbohydrate, is sudden. It's very sudden. It will happen very sudden and it will fall very suddenly. So if you are having a very, very high, simple carbohydrate diet, carbohydrate rich diet, वो एकदम से आपके इंसुलिन को स्पाइक करेगी, and suddenly there will be a fall. So your body digests carbohydrates very quickly. So the satiety feeling of having a fuller feeling for a longer time is not there when you have a carbohydrate rich diet. I'm not saying you don't need to have carbohydrates. Yes, you need to have your carbs, but you need to understand what form of carbs and how much quantity of carbs do you require in each of these meals, so that one, they don't result in a sudden spike, insulin spike. Two, your body takes sufficient amount to digest it so that you feel fuller for longer. And three, they are, they're not the simple carbs, which we will understand in detail a little later. So, so long story short, sudden spike is what you don't want. If you look at the image in front of you, proteins and fats, they cause much lesser spike and they take a much longer time to get digested and broken down by your digestive system. So hence we say that you need to have a more protein rich diet. It will make you feel fuller for a longer period of time. You will not end up quickly eating or snacking or binging soon after you have finished your meal. Okay, now what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are simple organic compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. This is the scientific definition. Basically, they are source of energy for your body. Every bit of energy that your body needs comes for especially for your brains and muscles, it comes from carbohydrates. They are essential nutrients which include sugar, fiber, and starches. Now, what is the primary role? During digestion, what happens? The carbohydrates break down into simple sugars. That's what your body does the moment it enters your digestive tract. It gets absorbed into your bloodstream as sugar. So हमारी body को energy चाहिए, हमारी body को glucose चाहिए to perform all the operations that it does internally as well as externally, that you're moving around, you're going to office, you're going for a walk, any activity that you do. This glucose is sent to body cells by a hormone called insulin. So in itself, this energy cannot enter your cell. It needs a rider on which it basically piggybacks. That rider is insulin, with the help of which this energy goes into each and every cell of yours. So just to explain you simply, when your body is not able to release enough insulin to break down your food into glucose or convert it into glucose and make it reach every cell of your body, that's the time we usually say that that sugar in your blood starts circulating as sugar and does not get converted into energy. And hence the term that, आपकी sugar बढ़ गई है, blood sugar बढ़ गई है. So this glucose needs a rider, which is your insulin. When it enters your cell body, the cells use this glucose as fuel that isn't used uh, or is stored for a later use, or probably for a rainy day when body is low on energy, etc. So simple carbs are sources of energy. They get broken down into glucose. This glucose takes the help of insulin to reach out to every cell where this energy is used probably on that day, or it is saved for another day when the body might require that energy. Now, carbohydrates, there are basically two types. One is simple, one is complex. Your simple carbohydrates are predominantly your sugar-based, food items, and your complex carbohydrates are your starches and your fibers. Let's understand what exactly this is in detail. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, just a second. You'll have to, sorry, there is just a second. Okay. So carbohydrates basically require, why are they essential? Because they are very important for your weight management. If you are having sufficient amount of carbohydrates, especially complex carbohydrates, you will feel fuller for longer, like I already explained. So you will not get into binging. It really helps in a better metabolic health. You will burn more energy when you have complex carbs, when you have food items which take a longer period of time to get digested, for which your body needs to do more work. Hence, it will burn more calories. It certainly helps maintain your blood sugar levels, like I just explained. And yes, they are very good for your heart health as well. Now, typically when we talk about, how much of portion control or carbohydrates do you require in your plate, the recommended amount is about 1/4 of your total calorie intake should come from whole grains. So India has always been, we say it's a millet, we've always, our forefathers have consumed millets of various forms through and through. Simple wheat and rice has been a very, very recent phenomena. When I say recent, I'm talking about last roughly about 100, odd years. Prior to that, ragi, jowar, bajra, amaranth, and things like that were more, common to a common man's household meal options. So recommended is 1/4 in your entire calorie intake. So if your calorie intake on a day is about, say, 1600 calories, so about 400 has to come from carbohydrates. Average Indian household almost gets half of their total calories from whole grains. So now you see, once at one point of time, we are talking about 1/4 of it coming from carbs. At the other point of time, we are saying that it's predominantly 47% of it is coming from whole grains. Calorie share of cereal is as high as 70% in the rural areas. Processed food accounts for nearly 10% of average calorie intake. Now, processed foods, we have been repeatedly saying, processed food, packaged food. Please, please, please read the labels. I mean, I think 99.999% of things that are coming in packed forms these days are made up of palm oil. We are all very tech savvy. Please Google the harmful effects of palm oil to our bodies. Everything that you're sourcing from the market, 99% of it is being manufactured in palm oil. So read your labels. Processed foods, packaged foods have very high sodium content. They have bad fats that can, really spike up your cholesterol. So processed food, stay away from it as much as possible. It is already attributing to about 10% of your calorie intake. Urban households in the highest income group consumes about 30% of their daily calories from processed foods. Imagine if your calorie intake is about 1500, close to about 500, or out of it, 450 is coming purely from processed food. When I say processed food, I'm also talking about, those pre-packed cereals, which are, so to say, sugar-free and, so to say, very high in fiber, but they are also very high in other elements which your body does not need, which your body does not require, which is basically an enemy of your body. And essentially, when I'm talking about processed food, I'm talking about processed non-vegetarian food, which is available over the counter. Looks really tempting. Honestly, perhaps even looks very delicious. I come from a family where we used to resort to having that kind of food every weekend. We've paid a very heavy price in various forms for having that kind of a lifestyle. And hence we want that the sooner we are able to sensitize and the more people we are able to sensitize about it, and if it can bring about even 10% of change in your overall health or your awareness about the harmful effects of processed food. I mean, there are a lot of studies these days that are even talking about that how are these pre-processed non-vegetarian foods made. Please study that in detail, do your research, talk to Farouk, talk to Anaita. There are some real malpractices that are there which we need to be aware of before we actually consume. So long story short, so yes, let's understand these carbohydrates which are complex. These are made of long chain sugar molecules. The simple ones are made of short chain sugar molecules. Now complex carbohydrates will take a much longer time to digest, consume more calories to be digested in your body, give you a feeling of satiety and fullness for a long time. It will, result in a increase in blood sugar very, very slowly. It will not have a sudden spike, like I said earlier. It is certainly less processed. It is very, very rich in dietary fiber. That is the reason your body will take more time to process it. It boosts your performance. It gives you much higher energy vis-a-vis simple carbs. It is much higher in antioxidants and vitamins. Some examples are carrots, whole grain bread, bananas, oats, brown rice. Vis-a-vis simple carbohydrates are absolutely opposite. They'll get digested very quickly. You will feel hungry quite soon after consuming a simple carbohydrate rich meal. It rapidly increases your blood sugar. It will even cause a crashing feeling. So you will suddenly feel very full of energy and high rush, and suddenly you will be very, you'll feel sapped out, you'll feel drained out, and you would want to probably eat something. They are more processed. They are certainly low in dietary fiber. They lower your performance, certainly lower in antioxidants and minerals. And what are the classic examples? So your fizzy drinks, your sodas, your sugary, bakery items, your cakes, your cereals, which are, sugar coated, and your fruit juices. All of these fruit juices, pardon me for that bell, ladies and gentlemen, your fruit juice is very, very rich in sugar. So please try and avoid that. Now, one of the most interesting topics that, Farooq also mentioned, which is your glycemic index versus your glycemic load. Oftentimes what happens, we get confused and, we kind of mistake our foods, and we avoid a certain type of food because it is known to be very high in glycemic index. What you need to understand is there are two things. One is index, the other is load. While we are giving the example of watermelon here, while a watermelon of a size one portion would have a glycemic index of 80, the glycemic load, which is actually the load, the glucose load it causes on your body, is just 5. So oftentimes we will avoid these items because we feel that they are very high. What you need to do is to actually Google or probably talk to your health buddy, talk to Farouk, attend these sessions to understand more in detail how you can enjoy the same food item which you love, but perhaps you've been keeping it at bay because you thought that it's very high in glucose and it will result in a very high glucose spike. So what exactly the dictionary definition is? Glycemic index is basically a ranking system that measures how quickly a carbohydrate in the food raises your blood sugar compared to the reference food taken as a standard, whereas a glycemic load is a measure that considers both the quantity as well as the quality of carbohydrate in a specific food or meal. It provides a more accurate assessment of the impact of carbohydrate on your blood sugar level. So this is the parameters which we've given, that a low GI is between 0 to 55. A low GL compared to that is between 0 to 10. Medium is 56 to 69 in a glycemic index. Medium in a glycemic load is 11 to 19. So, and in a glycemic index, 70 or higher is high. And in a glycemic load, 20 or higher is high. Now, this is just a pictorial representation which is telling you that how a low glycemic index will slowly release the sugar, will not suddenly impact your insulin levels vis-a-vis a high glycemic index, which will be a sudden burst in your body, suddenly there'll be a lot of sugar in your body. Your body will really need to work a lot. Your insulin release will be very sudden to process that sugar. And then suddenly, if the image on your right, if you just switch off, cut off the fountain, absolutely no water, no pressure, nothing. That's exactly what happens in your body. So for your better understanding, now, this is a very interesting slide. We can give you the same on more food items if you require. Speak to your health buddy. You can put it on the group if you want. We have just picked up some basic food items for you to get an understanding as to how, uh, what kind of impression we have and what actually is the fact. So, on the left, we have certain food items like white rice, brown rice. If I take white rice, for example, where the glycemic index of white rice is 73, the glycemic load is 17. So that is where we need to understand that we need to be a little more informed about what we are eating. At times, we, in our ignorance, we are not eating what we are supposed to and probably binging on something which we feel is low on sugar, but its glycemic load could be much, much higher. So yes, you have white bread. Though we certainly say that it's very, very good if you can avoid white bread, because at the end of the day, it's refined. Anything which is refined is probably lacking more fiber and nutrients, but probably look at a whole wheat bread. Now, a lot of times, on the group also, people have said that, we bought the bread from the market. It's a whole wheat thing. Yes, good. It certainly would be better than a white bread, provided it actually contains what it says. I don't know how many of us can actually bake a bread at home, but this is just a classic representation that if you can probably source an authentic whole wheat bread, its glycemic load is still lower. So that's a better option than a white bread. So watermelon, we've already discussed. A fruit like banana, a lot of times I see diabetics, they're trying to avoid a fruit like banana because it's very high in sugar. Its glycemic index certainly is higher, but its glycemic load is much lower. And the best time to have a fruit is perhaps the first thing in the morning, whether you're a diabetic or God forbid you're a diabetic. And even if you're not a diabetic, the best time to have fruit is first thing in the morning. Don't mix your fruits. Keep a gap of at least half an hour between two fruits. So that'll really help. Quinoa, things like quinoa, glycemic index 53, glycemic load 13. So this is just an example. You can probably take a picture of this and we can share more with you. Now, what we strongly recommend, Indians, we love our rice, whether it's North India, whether, you're having Rajma Chawal, whether you're in the South, East or West, we love our rice. What we would strongly, strongly recommend is the BFAC low GI rice because its glycemic index is really low. You will enjoy good taste of rice, but not harm your body with a high glycemic index. Now, how do carbs help you set your body clock? It certainly improves your work efficiency. Why? Because it will make you less sleepy. It'll lower your stress hormones. It will reduce the effect of workload. It improves your insulin sensitivity and your metabolic health. Why? Because it slowly, the sugar rise or the spike is much slower. So it improves the insulin response. It slowly gets released. Calorie control, certainly, because you will feel fuller for longer. You will not binge. Your body will take more time to process it. You will not feel the need to eat more frequently. It improves fat oxidation, which is very good for your metabolic health. It also enhances your mental performance by improving your memory, improving your alertness, and giving you a better responsiveness. Now, this is just a representation of men versus women. People who are, category of work could be sedentary, moderate, or heavy, and how much of dietary fiber, how many grams do you need per day? So just to take one example each, men who have a sedentary lifestyle don't need more than 30 grams of dietary fiber a day. If you are into heavy workload, you will probably need about 50. A woman in a sedentary lifestyle would need about 25 grams of dietary fiber. A woman into a heavy kind of a workload would need about 40 a day. Now, fibers typically are two types, soluble and insoluble. And as the word is self-explanatory, a soluble fiber will dissolve in water. Insoluble does not dissolve in water. Soluble promotes satiety. It lowers your cholesterol. It supports your gut flora, improves your blood sugar. It is found in apples, beans, nuts, oatmeal. It also helps food move through your gut at the right pace, and it's also feeds your beneficial bacteria. So examples are your fruit, your sweet potato, blueberries, etc. The insoluble fiber, it promotes laxation, it supports your intestinal health. It is found in whole wheat, leafy greens, quinoa, brown rice, almonds, nuts, etc. It creates a lot of bulk in your stool, thereby helping you in eliminating constipation, and it greatly supports your bowel health. Now, what are the examples? We have resistant maltodextrin, which promotes the growth of bifidobacterium. It provides a satiety for a longer period of time, and it's beneficial in your blood glucose and lipid profile. This Neutralite fiber, it predominantly contains maltodextrin, inulin, and partially hydrolyzed guar. These are some of the features. Inulin is a prebiotic effect. It selectively stimulates the growth and activity of beneficial bacteria in your gut. That is essentially, that is why during, when you join the program, the first 10 days, we are talking about the gut reset. And at that point of time, it is extremely important for you to take your fiber regularly, because that's how your gut health will improve. Inulin also assists in nutrient absorption. So whatever food you're having, what's the point if the nutrients from that food does not get absorbed by your body? So extremely important. It produces short chain for fatty acids upon fermentation. It provides satiety. It is also again helpful in blood glucose management. And the partially hydrolyzed guar, it suppresses potent harmful mycolytic bacteria, improves your bowel regularity, and it has a gut barrier function. It is also beneficial in maintaining your blood glucose and lipid profile regulation. So yes, we strongly recommend this fiber, because Neutralite fiber, because it will completely reset your gut to factory settings, like we always say. So make it a habit, make it a daily habit, even after your gut reset, to include it in your daily routine. Now, how fiber improves your gut health? Now, we've in other sessions heard about gut microbiome. We've heard about the good bacteria and the bad bacteria in our gut. So, gut microbiome is a balanced network of bacteria, good and bad. Fiber will help increase good bacteria, restore it back to about 85% in your gut, reduce the bad bacteria to 15%. It also helps in nutrient absorption, like I just said. It also acts as prebiotic. Prebiotic is basically food for the probiotic in beneficial bacteria in your gut. It also lowers your cholesterol and blood sugar levels. It lowers the inflammation in your body and helps balance your hormones. Dietary fiber passes through your system and cleanses it from toxins. So imagine fiber to be that little ball, which along with it, whenever it is moving through your gut, it is moving through your intestines, it also takes care of all the unnecessary toxins. The food which is stuck in your intestines, it actually takes all of it along with it and eliminates from your body, thereby relieving you of any kind of IBS or any kind of constipation. Now, let's understand, your body clock morning time, how it happens. As per studies, breakfast rich in fiber has a positive impact on what? Next food intake. If you've had a good breakfast, and Farooq and Anaita always, always, always advocate to have your breakfast like a king. Why? Because you're breaking your fast after 10 to 12 hours. Your body is already severely depleted on nutrients. And two, because you have the whole day, your body, because you're going to be active, you're going to be moving around. So whatever you have in your breakfast will get nicely metabolized, nicely digested, well absorbed, totally burned probably by the time you go to bed at night. Have a good breakfast, because that determines what are you going to eat next and what time are you going to eat next. It gives you a sensation of satiety, of fullness. It helps control your blood glucose level greatly, and it also delays your gastric emptying. So if you are fuller, your stomach will feel fuller for longer. It will not empty out. If you're taking a light breakfast or no breakfast or just a black coffee, etc., the gut emptying will be much, much quicker. Some smart choices. Yes, I wouldn't say, being a Punjabi, that replacing aloo paratha with anything else was easy, but was it worth it? Absolutely worth it. It's not that I don't have my parathas now, but yeah, probably I reward myself with another 3 kgs of weight loss. Okay, I'll probably reward myself with that. Like Farooq says, keep rewarding yourself. It gives you incentive to probably work towards whatever is your health goal ahead. So yes, I do enjoy it. I certainly enjoy it much less frequently like I used to. but I don't regret it even a single day. So yes, you replace your aloo parathas with probably a high rich vegetable rich or a pulse rich paneer paratha or a dal paratha or a mixed veg paratha which is high in dietary fiber. Replace your breakfast cereals with dalia or porridge, which are more healthier. White bread certainly with whole grain bread. Your vada pavs and your deep fried stuff with idli sambar, because they are very very gut friendly. Your white rice with brown rice. Your ice creams with your yogurts. Uh, I could never make sense of the fact that at the end of the day an ice cream is an ice cream. How can a yogurt give me the same feeling? Coming from there, today I have my plain curd with probably, I may try and make it fancy with no sugar, probably add some raisins to it. And trust me, it's very easy to fool you when you know how is it going to reward your body in the long run. Replace your soft drinks with lime water, replace your soft drinks with probably coconut water, replace your soft drinks with infused water that you make at home fresh every single day. Replace your fruit juices with whole fruit. uh, Fruit juices are pure sugar. If you're taking, even if it's a homemade juice, you are removing the fiber, which is the essential nutrients from that part. You're just having water and sugar. So it's better to bite onto that fruit and have the fruit as a whole. Replace your fried chicken or fish with a grilled form of that, or a boiled or a roasted. You can make a nice salad out of it, and it tastes equally good, to be honest. Now, food pairing, you need to pair high GI food, a high glycemic index food with a very, very high protein and fiber, because that will balance out the harmful effect or the sugar spike that it will cause in your body. So each time you think that you're having a high glycemic index food, please add lot of vegetables, a high protein source with it to balance out the harmful effects. Using whole grains and legumes, adding non-starchy vegetables when you are having a high GI food, because if you're having a high GI food and then you're probably having potatoes and arbi or things like that, which are as it is very starchy, that's a bad combination. A high GI food should be probably replaced with a low GI alternates, like we just discussed in the previous slide, and opt for a mindful cooking technique. Don't overcook your food. Don't add too much of water to your food. Al dente food, especially your vegetables, when they still have their crunchiness, they have their original color, is a good idea to cook it to that level. Okay, tips to increase your fiber intake. Choose whole grains over refined grains. Millets are absolutely fantastic if you can include them in your porridge, in your khichdi, in your dal. You can make a whole a meal wherein you can probably add your dal, you can add your veggies, and you can add your millets. So it's like a full meal, meal in a bowl kind of a thing. Add more fruits and vegetables. Snack on nuts, but keep it in moderation. Seeds, dried fruits, or popcorns. Snacking, please avoid as much as possible. We don't endorse snacking, because if we honestly, if you're having a balanced meal, that's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you will not need to snack in between. So add beans, lentils, or peas to your soups. Broccoli soup is a very interesting dish to have. Probably, winters are still on. Sprinkle some oat bran, flax seeds, sesame seeds, on your yogurts and cereals. Sesame seeds are very rich in omega 3. Drink plenty of water. Nothing can replace water. Anything and everything that you're putting inside of your body, whether it is for taste, whether it is for energy, whether it is for nutrients, if you're not having enough water, this nutrient absorption, one, it will not happen, and two, even if it gets absorbed, it is not going to reach out to every cell in your body, because the medium through which it is going to reach is water. So keep yourself ideally hydrated. Don't overhydrate or underhydrate yourself. And lastly, we love to finish off our sessions with the shine. What is shine? Shine is start every day with a lot of gratitude and optimism. There's enough negativity in the world. We can probably add our little bit of positivity and right mental attitude. And I think if you're on a community like this, like ours, where you see everybody contributing in their little way of, posting their meal plates. Some days some post, some days the others post. Some days some of you attend this session, someday the others attend this session. But I think each one of us are bringing our bit of information, our bit of learning onto the group, which is fantastic. have your nutrition, daily nutrition. And when I say nutrition, I'm not just talking about your physical nutrition, I'm also talking about your mental nutrition. You need to mentally feed your mind with the right information, with the right knowledge, with the right attitude and perspective in life, which I have found phenomenally on this group when I was a student, and even now I'm still a student of this group, to be honest. Intentions, visualize and set your clear intentions, because tomorrow morning when you're going to get out of your house, get out of your door, I'm sure you know where you're headed. Because if you don't know where you're headed, you'll probably reach nowhere. So learn something new every single day. You may agree when I say this, you may not agree, but each time I'm presenting something, there is one or the other piece of information that I also have to, probably research a little more before I speak to you. So that helps me learn something new every time I talk to you. And we can never say this enough: exercise daily, exercise daily, exercise daily, whatever floats your boat, be it dancing, be it badminton, be it walking, be it gymming, whatever you love to do more of it. This community, this learning, this group, this entire environment has brought about not just this physical change in my life, but a phenomenal change in the way I see lifestyle challenges, the way I see health, the way I see fitness, the way I'm in sync with Farooq's mission of Har Ghar Healthy, Har Ghar Medicine Free. It is possible. We will do it. And I'm glad that you guys are a part of this journey, because you will help us spread the word. Well, that's all from my side. Over to you, Ruchita.
Thank you so much, Deepika. And guys, was that not beautifully explained?